I'm doing it.
Oh, there.
All right. So now I'm going to give you full privilege and then introduce you. Thanks for everybody for being so patient with us as I learn how to manage Zoom. I'm going to ask everybody to turn your cameras on and put your names on. I don't care if you're in your pajamas. I'm in my bedroom with laundry on the bed. So, if we can do that, it's a lot easier when we teach and interact to be able to see your faces. So if you would, turn on your cameras. Go ahead and stay muted until Mike asks you not to mute. But we'd like to welcome Mike tonight. He has so graciously given us some time today to go over listing presentations, right? Mike is the broker at Keller Williams South Valley. He's an amazing guy. I wished I would have had this privilege 17 years ago when I started, because I would be a much better agent if I had been trained by Mike Carmody. He's a killer agent. He's been in the business a long time. And something cool about him that I learned is that he likes to fly planes upside down in circles and all around. So he's a pretty brave guy too. Brave to take on all of us agents, and really seriously take notes today because you are in the presence of greatness. So having said that, take it away.
Thank you, Lori. I think in the presence of I'm in the presence of greatness because I'm hanging out with other real estate agents, and we are a special breed. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and for those. I see my buddy Marcel with Real Advantage Title. This is not a CE class, so I can put a plug in for other people. And if you're new in this business, you need to know about title. You need to know about escrow. And Marcel is the escrow officer that I use at Real Advantage Title. So make sure you're having a conversation with him. When I first got in the business, I learned a ton. I got a connection with a mortgage lender years ago with the first title company I went with. They taught me so much about the transaction, and it was so important. So please welcome Marcel. I'm just looking at
Thanks,
the
Mike.
names here. I don't see too many. I see Nikki and Nikki. Which office are you with? And you guys can stay unmuted. Just if you know some background noise or something, just click mute. But hi, Nikki.
Hi, I'm with Keller Williams South Valley.
You're with my office, okay?
I'm with your office.
I was officially last Friday at about 4:30. I became the principal broker. I've been around for a few weeks, getting acclimated to being back in the office. For those of you that don't know, I'm one of the original owners. I'm still an owner of Keller Williams South Valley. I opened the office with our other group in 2007, 2008. But the past few years, I've been working out of the basement. I've kind of got it blurred so you don't have to look at all my guitar stuff. So I love the South Valley office. For those of you that aren't with South Valley, I love the other offices too. So Nikki, thanks for joining us. Tell me how experienced. Are you brand new in the business?
Just a sec, Hannah. Okay, I don't know. Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted. Yep.
Okay, because it looks like I'm not. I was in that meeting. I'm new to Keller Williams. I started in 2000 with sitting models for D.R. Horton for a year, then Richmond American for 6 years, and decided to go get my broker's license and start a property management company.
That's right. That's right. I know it was at the ALC meeting. I think we met. Apologize, I didn't remember.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Cool.
So I'm just feeling like a new agent, but I'm not, but I am.
That's all right. Well, what we're going through today, I think hopefully will be helpful for everybody. I'm just going to pick, let's see, Vicky. I think Vicky, based on your picture that's on there, I think we've met, and I believe you're new to the office. Is that right?
Yes, I'm new too. I joined 3 weeks ago. Yes, we met in the office in the meeting basement.
That's right. Yep. Good. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
How about Jennifer? How about Janet?
Jennifer was saying she was going on an appointment, but she was keeping it in her.
I am in the Salt Lake City Keller Williams office.
Okay, Salt Lake City office. Okay, yeah, and I think you said you're getting ready to go on an appointment. We'll hang out as long as you can. How about Janet?
I'm also at South Valley.
All right, cool. Cool. We'd love to see your face so I can get to know you. So don't be afraid to turn your camera on. Okay, so I'm going to dive in. And again, Lori, thank you for the wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. I don't think I've figured out a way to get some materials to this class. I gotta, there's a couple pages here, but I think we can work without it. What I start this class, okay, win with sellers, typically I just focus on doing kind of demonstrating a listing presentation of what I've done over the years. When I go out, walk through the front door, I kind of call it showtime. Okay. I've got it as an agent. I'm going out, I'm doing a presentation. So we are going to get to that. But before, I think probably more important than my actual presentation is pre-qualifying on the listing appointment. So I know I can't ask for like a show of hands here. So what I'm going to talk about this pre-qualifying, most of you have probably heard if you're working with a buyer, right? Before you put a buyer in your car and you take them out and show them 100 houses on a weekend, would you agree that getting them pre-qualified with a mortgage lender to find out if they can actually buy a house is a good idea, right? Before we start spending the time. Okay. So I think we all agree on that, right? Anybody disagree with that? Crickets. Good. Okay. So pre-qualifying a seller is the same. I want to, I'm going to speak about my process of going through it. I'm going to speak today as most of my business is repeat and referral business. So when I get a referral, say I have John and Jane Doe, clients of mine, they refer me to some friends of theirs that I've never met. And then they make the introduction and they give me a phone number and say, call these folks. Okay, I give them a call. I'm going to go through a series of questions, right? I'm asking questions. I'm trying to build rapport. I'm gathering information. But most importantly, I am, let's see, hold on one second. There was somebody to admit. I think I did that right. I'm asking a series of questions. Mostly I'm listening. I'm gathering as much information as possible. So what are some of the questions that you would ask? I kind of got a simple list here, and I've shared this with Lori. I didn't have your email address. It wasn't auto-populated, so I sent it to Terry, but I'll make sure I get yours in there. Okay. And I want you guys to shout out. I'm going to just run through these questions, okay, because we're going to spend more time on the actual presentation. But number one, where are you moving to? Okay, kind of important. How soon do you have to be there? Would you describe your home for me? How much do you want to list your home for realistically? Another question we can ask is, are they thinking about selling it themselves? How much do they owe on the house? Okay, so those are the main questions, and there's a lot of little ones that'll come in. But if I start with where are they moving to, I want to listen. What is the client doing? Is it a job transfer? Are they thinking they want to sell their house and downsize, upsize, whatever it may be, right? So where are you moving to? What are you thinking about? I'm going to get where they're going, what their time frame is. Okay, I talked with some people and they're just, hey, it might be 6 months out, or I got my job transfer. I need to be in Arkansas next week. I'm ready to go. Okay, when I ask, would they please describe the home for me? Typically, I'm sitting right where I am right now, or in my office in front of a computer. I've got my pen and paper. I'm making notes. I'm also looked up their address. I've looked up to see if their house has sold. Is there any history of it on the MLS? If not, can I look at county records so I can see, bedrooms, bathrooms? And so I'm having a conversation with them, and then, would you describe your home for me? Can last a half hour, and it's just asking questions, gathering the information. and finding out, am I doing what I call a one-step listing presentation or a two-step listing presentation? Okay, so I'm not going to dive in too much on the pre-qualifying. I'm happy to talk with more people about that or kind of role play that, you know, how that goes. It's just information gathering time, rapport building, and I make copious notes. So when I actually go out to meet with them, I refer to those notes to cement to them that, guys, when we were talking, I was actually listening to you. I can't stress how important that is. If they are telling you, they take a half hour to tell you about the fancy chicken coop that they built in their backyard, you better take some time to acknowledge it when you go out to meet with them, okay? So pre-qualifying series of questions to find out, do these people, are they ready to go now? And am I going to go out on this appointment, and should I expect to take the listing, or am I just going to give them information? So anybody have any questions on the pre-qualifying? Any thoughts? Any additional questions on what you might ask a seller? There's quite a few. I'm just going through the basics here today, okay? I'm going to pause for 5 seconds to see if there's any questions. And 5. Okay. Now I'm going to get you guys interactive and start asking questions, because otherwise I'm going to get real sick of staring at myself in front of this computer. Does anybody here venture a guess on what's the difference between a one-step listing presentation and a two-step? Somebody guess.
I'm gonna guess that they're just selling to move out of state, and ones they're selling and then buying in state. That's my guess.
All right, Marcel's got a guess. Now he was close, but guys, he's not a realtor, so we'll forgive him for. Marcel, thanks for. Here's what I consider, and it's just my lingo on it. Okay, a one-step listing presentation is I get introduced to somebody. I do my pre-qualification, and based on that and the questions I ask them, are they ready to move? So let's say I set an appointment for this Saturday. I try to ask that person, you know, if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning to list your home with me when I come out on Saturday? If all the information that I've got, they've got a job transfer, they have done everything, they've prepped their home for sale, there's no condition, like they're not waiting for the job transfer to come through. They're ready to meet with a real estate agent and make a decision. That's my one-step listing presentation. Okay, I'm going out, I'm being prepared, and I'm going to ask them to list the home with me. A two-step listing presentation is more or less what I do most of the time, in my experience with it. And what that is somebody gets referred to me. They're thinking about selling. They're not 100% yet. Okay, so I do my pre-qualification, and I find out that I'm going to visit. We're just calling them John and Jane Doe. Jane is waiting on this job transfer to Arkansas. They think it's going to go through, but they'll know in probably 60 days, maybe 90 days. But they want to get a jump on it. And so they were introduced to me. They thought it'd be a good idea for me to come out and preview their home and maybe see if there's anything they need to do with it. And to get an idea on value. Okay, they're just not ready. It's not 100%. Really hard. If I go out and just dive into a listing presentation and ask them, are you, you know, I'm here, you ready to list your house? They're probably not going to react very well, because they've already told me there's something there. They're not 100%. And people, in my experience, they're a little skeptical sometimes. Now, can you do a longer term listing and wait? Absolutely. But usually what happens is I go out, I meet John and Jane. After I've talked with them on the phone and done my pre-qual, I set up an appointment, and I consider it kind of a preview appointment. I'm going out to kind of interview them as much as they're interviewing me. I'm going to look at the house. I'm going to talk with them more about it. Find out, yeah, hey, have you got any word on that job transfer? Make some recommendations on things they could do to the house. But if I go in and just start trying to hammer them to sign a contract when they've told me they're not ready, doesn't work out well. It hasn't for me. Okay, so my two-step is I'm going to go out, I'm going to meet with them, I'm going to complete a market analysis, I'm going to look at the home, I'm going to build rapport, I'm going to discuss all the things that they discussed with me. I'm going to talk about the timeline if the job transfer comes through, or whatever the reason that they might be delayed in getting on the market. We're going to talk about that. Okay. I may ask them if they want to sign a contract. It just kind of depends on how the situation goes and how they feel. But I'll just go out and do that. And I won't do a typical presentation that I'm going to go over with you guys. Okay. I'm going to wait till 3 weeks later. Let's say I go out to meet with them Saturday. This is step one, preview the home, build some rapport, definitely follow up with them. And then a week later, they call and say, hey, Mike, job transfer came through. Can we get, can we set up a time to have you come back? Then that's step two. Then I'm going out and I'm going to do my listing presentation. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So when
Yes.
you're pre-qualifying, very important, ask them their timeframes. How soon do you need to make the move? What's your time frame? When are you thinking you want to get your home on the market? All different ways to ask that. So when they invite you out and they're just anticipating you're coming out to look at the house and give them a price, and you're hammering them to list the house and they're not even ready for it, you really spoil your opportunity. And again, my opinion. So one step, two step. The first step on the two-step, if that makes sense, is typically just it's a preview and it's my time to build rapport. If I sense an opportunity that they really like me and they're ready to go, I'll be happy to. I'll always ask them, we can get the paperwork started now, and give them that option. So that being said, we covered pre-qual. We've covered the one or two step listing presentation. So now let's assume that I show up at the door. I want you guys to think about this yourselves right now. You've talked with them, you've prepared a comparative market analysis, you have an idea of what the home is worth. You haven't seen the home yet, but they're ready to interview for you for the job because they're moving to Arkansas next week. You're there on a Saturday morning, knock, knock, knock. I want you guys, we need to get some interaction now. Tell me, what do you say at the door? How do you handle it? What do you think you should do on your listing presentation? I'm completely fine with silence too. Anybody? Any thoughts on what you'd say? Nikki, I got to pick on you. Yeah, Nikki's turning her camera off now. You're still muted though.
Yes. Okay. What would I say?
Yeah, and there's no wrong answer, guys. I'm not judging anybody because I screwed up listings more than anybody else ever. So just telling you that.
Okay. I would probably say, hi, I'm Nikki Meadows with Keller Williams South Valley. We spoke on the phone and I wanted to come in and look at your beautiful home and just have a visit with you about what your expectations are.
Love it. Love it. I'm going to push you a little bit further.
Okay.
Okay. After that, they invite you in. What would you do next?
I'd say, would you guys like to sit and visit so I can learn more about your home and your purpose of having me come here today? Or would you like to just start and look at your home and then we can sit and visit? How would you like to approach this meeting with me?
Great. And so ultimately we get a tour of the home, right? Okay. All right. I'm going to keep pushing you a little bit. After you've toured the home, you're sitting down at the kitchen table. And I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot, and no is a perfectly fine answer. Do you have any presentation that you've used over the years that you're comfortable and confident that you launch into as your listing presentation?
No, that's part of why I'm doing coaching, so I can learn a presentation.
There you go. Cool. Good. So we're in the right place. And just to clarify too, when I'm dating myself, I got my license in 1999, but it wasn't till probably about, or 1995, sorry, I'm even really dating myself, but it wasn't until about 1999 that I actually realized, okay, I probably could do better at this if I had a listing presentation, something that I've learned, I've internalized, And when I get into, sometimes it's a high stress situation, it's more high anxiety for me, I'm there trying to do a good job. But if I know what to say, I'm able to listen to them more. And so what I'm going to go through, and this is, I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I'm going to screw this up. It's hard to do over Zoom. I've never done this class over Zoom. Typically in the live classes, I'm going to role play and interact. And because Nikki, you've got your camera on, you're interacting with me, I'm going to ask you to role play with me, okay?
Okay, happy to do that.
Here's what we do, guys, in the beginning when we do role play. How do we do it? We make it easy, we make it fun. And what I mean by that, Nikki, is you're going to go easy on me. You're going to say no when you need to say no. You're going to say yes when you need to say yes. So I think you get that.
I do.
So I want you to agree, but throw in a maybe here and there. And so what I want you guys to do, and I hope you can get something out of this, is what a listing presentation to me looks like when I walk in. So Nikki, I'm just going to pretend you're Jane Doe, but I'll call you Nikki, right? So my situation, let's just say it's you. If I have two people that are on title, okay, I want to make sure that they're both going to be there for the listing appointment, right? Because you need to have the signers on. A lot of little technicalities, but right now we're going to pretend that Nikki's the seller. You were referred to me by my cousin. You're getting the job transfer to Arkansas. You're ready to go next week. You're going to be commuting back and forth, but you're ready to kind of hand over keys. You're maybe going to interview an agent or two, but I'm going to sit down with you. So I knock on the door and hey, Nikki, thank you for taking some time to chat with me the other day and give me all the information on your wonderful home. I appreciate that. We're going to walk in the house. I'm going to ask, would you mind if I take a quick look through the home? And typically the sellers say, sure, do you want to do it by yourself or do you want me to come along? And I'm always, come along with me. Show me, point out the things. I want to keep them moving pretty quick though. And guess what? I got in my hand. I got my notes from when we talked over the phone. So I'm not going to forget when we go to the backyard and you show me the awesome chicken coop you built. I'm going to give you lots of props on that, right? So we tour the home and then we come down and we're sitting across from each other on the table. And I will just at that point launch into my presentation. Again, for me, showtime, all right? So I typically, and I have this right in front of me, this script, I know it's blurred. And so I start as this. Nikki, I wrote down 3 real important questions for you. Number 1, do you absolutely have to sell this home?
Yes, because we need the income or the money off the sale of the home to purchase our new home in Arkansas.
Arkansas. Yep,
Okay.
Arkansas. I don't know where that came
Where
from.
I'm moving. Where
So
did you
that's
say I'm
great.
moving to? Okay.
So you need to cash out your equity because in order to buy the home in Arkansas, you need to get this one sold.
Yes.
Terrific, terrific. Hey, the second question I wrote down, and I'll even look down at my paper, guys, because if you say I wrote something down, you better have a paper in front of you. Make sense? Okay. So second question I wrote down is, will you price the home to sell?
Yes. I would like to get as much as I can out of it, but I understand with the market today, I may have to give a little.
Sure. Okay. Absolutely. You want as much as possible, but it sounds like you'll price it reasonably.
Yes.
Terrific. Nikki, the third question I have for you is, do you want me to handle the sale for you?
I'd like to learn a little bit more about you before I make that decision.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we're going to cover that. Okay. So I'm going to go through, we're going to talk about the process of getting your home sold. But at the end of my presentation this morning, 1 of 3 things will happen. Okay. Number 1, you'll have an opportunity to list a home with me. Number 2, you may decide not to list a home. And number 3, I may decide not to take the listing. Any one of those 3 is fine. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Terrific. Okay, so let's take a moment and review the questions I asked you over the phone. Let's see, you're moving, obviously we know you're moving to Arkansas, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you wanted to be there basically as soon as possible. You're going, so having the home sold as soon as possible is what you want. Terrific.
Yes.
You'd like to price, we talked about price, let's pretend we talked about pricing. You'd like to price your home at $900,000, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. And you said you only owed about $100,000 on it, correct?
Yes.
Terrific. Okay, I usually will, there is a question on here that says, now you weren't planning on selling it yourself, were you? I usually don't bring that up unless they've already kind of indicated maybe they were gonna sell the home themselves. So no sense in asking it to plant the seed.
Okay.
And Nikki, you did want all the money out, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, terrific, okay. Because some people are, when they have substantial equity like you, might be open to seller financing, but for now, we wanna approach you getting all of your cash out.
Yes.
Terrific. Okay. Now, there's only two issues we have to look at tonight. Number one is your motivation to sell this home. Excuse me, I got that wrong. No, I was. Number one is your motivation. Number one, your motivation to sell this home. And number two is the price that we set on your home. Okay,
Yes.
so it's important that you understand those are the only two issues in selling real estate today: motivation and price. Any questions on that?
No.
Terrific. Okay. Now I've prepared what we call as a comparative market analysis here. And this is why I bring my iPad over, computer, laptop, or if you've got printed material, a comparative market analysis. And there's two parts to this research, Nikki. Part one I call fantasy land. Okay. It's what homeowners list homes for. The second part I call reality. It's what real estate agents like myself list and actually sell homes for. So
Okay.
you got to decide where you want to spend your time. Fantasyland might be fun, but reality gets your home sold and you move to Arkansas. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's go through the two parts together. I'll probably spend, depending on what type of client this is me taking a time out from the presentation. I'm going to go through my actives. I'm going to go through my under contracts, and I'm mentally going through my head any adjustments I need to make now that I've seen the house. So typically I'll come back and ask the question, okay, Nikki, now that you've seen, let's pretend we went through and all the solds and the average sale price is 850,000.
Okay.
9, average sale price, or where the comps are telling us, is 850. I'll ask, Nikki, now that you've seen these prices, what price do you feel we should use to create value in the eyes of the buyer and get someone to decide to buy your house versus these other 6 that are for sale?
And when you told me about the other 6, they were all at this 850 range, right?
Let's assume they were. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because I need to sell it as quickly as possible. I'm not liking living in this Airbnb that I'm living in Arkansas. Yes, I trust you as a real estate agent, where I just know what I would love to walk away with.
Sure.
But the reality is I probably have to go with your price.
Well, and I think, and I appreciate that, Nikki. And I caution to say, it's not really my price. I let the
Yeah.
as the listing agent and you as the seller, we want to listen to the market and be open to it because it's our best guide. And what I'm showing on here, based on my research and my experiences, is 850. And I do agree. I'd love to be able to tell you you'd get 900, but the reality is, I think 850 is where we need to be. And I'll do everything in my power to keep it at that price, maybe even above. You never know. Sometimes we get multiple offers, but I will make sure to protect your equity as if it was my own. So 850. Nikki, I'm prepared to start the paperwork and fill that out. Would you be prepared to hire me as your real estate broker today?
Yes, because the other people didn't have the presentation you have.
Thank
I already
you.
2 others.
I appreciate that. Press hard, bottom copy's yours, right? That was the close when we had carbon copy, guys. So I'm going to be 100% honest, guys. That is my listing presentation. Okay, now we might spend more time talking about, well, what if we did 875 and all this? I'm fine. I'll talk that through them and work with them as best I can.
I almost said that just to send, probably I should have, so you could have said what to do.
Yeah, it's tough when you're role playing on that with pricing without being able to see data. But what I want to get at is that is the extent of the presentation I have. And it can be that easy, guys. It's not. If you've done your job on the pre-qualification and you've really listened and you've made good notes and you're not telling yourself a story about the seller, listen to what they're saying. In this case, we role played it as Nikki was ready to go. I came to her house. She was ready. In the beginning, she told me maybe she wanted learn a little more about me. She must have learned enough about me because I just asked you, if you look at my presentation It's just a series of questions that I asked you, other than reviewing some of the information. I started out by just setting it up as I have 3 real important questions for you. Number, do you absolutely have to sell this home? Number 2, will you price the home to sell? I want to find out, are they realistic? Usually they'll answer, well, I'm not going to give it away. And I love that. It's like, absolutely, you shouldn't have to give the home away. But you're reasonable, right? You know, if our comps say we're at 800, I'm not pricing it at $1 million, that type of thing. Third question I asked was, do you want me to handle the sale for you? If they say yes, then just move to your CMA and say, great, then let's go work on the price and we'll get the paperwork taken care of. That happens quite often. As Nikki had said, when I asked that, if, you know, do you want me to handle the sale for you? Well, we're not sure, Mike. We've got a couple more, we've got a couple other agents to interview, whatever it may be, you know, just acknowledge it. Okay, so I understand that. And that's where I'll jump into next here as well. At the end of my presentation tonight, 1 of 3 things will happen. You'll have an opportunity to list a home with me. You may decide not to list a home, and I may decide not to take the listing. And I love that question. Because Nikki, I could even see it when I asked you that. It just, you could almost see their shoulders. It gives them an out, right? They're saying, well, all this question goes through their head. Why wouldn't this guy take my listing? People will ask me that, not very often. Like, what do you mean you decide not to take the listing? And I would simply say, if we can't agree upon price and terms, no harm, no foul. We don't have to work together. It's quite all right.
Okay.
It's rare that they ask that, but just by asking that question is saying, because guys always reserve the right to, as much as we want to take listings, don't be afraid to walk away from one if you've got a bad feeling about it, about the person, you know, because some people can drive you nuts, et cetera. And I could do a whole nother class on that. Okay. But in this case with it, 3 questions. Then if you say, you know, you're thinking about hiring me, I'm going to go through 3 more questions to just, they're kind of statements to let you know that you don't have to list with me. I'm going to review the information that we did over the phone. And I'm going to tell them one of the most powerful ones, there's only 2 issues we have to look at tonight. Your motivation to sell this home and the price we set on your home. You guys think there's anything else? Somebody say, what about marketing? Somebody say it.
What about
What
marketing?
about
Mike?
marketing?
What about marketing? All the marketing in the world won't sell an overpriced listing. Simple as that. And if they want to they understand it. All the marketing in the world will not sell an overpriced listing.
Would you ever not take a listing if, when you're after they've said, well, we do want to work with you, but then you've got a home that's just needs some love. How do you approach that?
I still haven't figured out a way in my time in real estate a polite way to tell somebody that their house stinks and it's in really bad condition. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Maybe somebody has that. Those are the tough conversations. Be prepared. Let's role play it, Nikki. Just pretend that you're Nikki, even though my comps on this house with specs, with price per square foot, whatever, however we're looking at it, size, number of bedrooms and bathrooms. You've heard the adage location, 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 Nikki. You've heard that? Okay. I don't disagree with that, but I think more important for me is condition, condition, condition. Okay. And okay, I'm going to have a tough conversation with you here. I want you to get as much money as possible, but I got a list of things that I'd really like you to consider doing before we put the home on the market. Okay. And sometimes it's just, I know you're probably busy, right? You're working, you're working down in Arkansas. You don't have time to go through a deep clean in the house and touch up paint and storage and organizing and all that, right? Okay. What I'm going to suggest is that we get a few people prepared to get that stuff done for you, because I think you'll probably get, if you end up spending $1,500 on some repairs and some overall changes, little minor changes to the house to get it in optimum showing condition, I think you're going to get another $10,000 or $15,000. Okay. Sometimes we got to spend a little bit, and it's very important because buyers may love everything about the house, but if they think that they've got to come in and they've got to repaint and do carpet and all this, they're either going to walk away or they're going to come in with a really low offer. So does
Okay.
that make sense? So I think we got a couple choices. You think you'd be able to get that done in the next couple weeks? I mean, I'm happy to help arrange that to be done. Okay.
I
So
probably sure help to arrange it. I've got to leave again Monday morning.
sure, sure. Yep. So I think, yeah, let's get that taken care of. In the meantime, I'm going to start with the contract. We'll just delay putting it on the multiple listing service. And I got a piece of paperwork that shows that. And then you and I can get with some of my contractors and some of my vendors, and I can make some recommendations. And fortunately, I live pretty close. I can let some people in, and let's see what we can get taken care of. Okay. That is one that comes up a lot, guys. And it may not just be like somebody's got a really dirty house. It could just be, hey, they might be 30 to most of the time when I take a listing, it's probably, I'm taking the actual signing the paperwork probably 30 days before we actually hit the market on average for me. Is with SOI, send it over to them, and then we get a list of stuff. Hey, maybe we're going to do some paint or carpet. We're going to move this stuff around, and you can do that, right? And we can talk in more detail. There's some specific paperwork for the MLS we need to do, but don't be afraid to get a contract signed. Just communicate with them. I'm signing this. We're not going on the MLS. We're not ready for photos. Let's talk about how to get it ready for photos. Does anybody have any questions on that presentation?
I have a question for you. I think as a new agent, objections were always my biggest fear. What would you say is your most common objection that you had to practice to get ready for?
Oh, that's a great one. And they don't change. And
No.
okay, so objections. We use the term objection from a seller. Guys, just change it in your mind. It's just a question. They're asking you a question. So somebody asked me, Mike, I know you charge 6%, but my cousin's brother, sister said they would do it for 5%. Will you do it for 5%? Here's what you say. No. Always start with no. And then see what they say. You may have to argue back and forth a little bit. But what I want to say on objections, just in your mind, it's just a question the seller has that they want you to answer. Okay. So what are the most common ones? Boy, it's funny because I spent years, guys, years role playing these and going through the objections. And I'm going to teach you a little secret. When you learn how to handle objections and you internalize it, you stop getting objections. I don't know that Matthew Ferry told us that years ago, and he is right.
He is right.
Probably because we don't look at them as objections. We just look at them as questions. Will you drop your commission? Okay, so Nikki, again, I'm picking on you because you got your camera on and you're active here. Ask me what I charge.
So what is your commission for this house?
So we're going to commission as much as you'll possibly pay me, Nikki. And I joke with people. I have fun with it. I want to get them laughing. Would you consider 10%?
No.
So listen, right, exactly. And I wouldn't either. But no, Nikki, I appreciate that. Let's go through we're going through the listing agreement right now. I charge 6%, right? Now, do you think that I just keep the whole 6%? I'm curious.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to say, out of that 6%, is that all yours?
No, wish it was. Technically, I guess it could be, but I'm willing to work with you on that. However, the way I have set it up and done business for a long time and continue to do in the future, that's just a little nod to Sitzer Burnett that we can talk about, is half of that. I offer 3% of the fee that I charge you out to any other agent that has a license in this state to bring a buyer to your house. And I'm incentivizing. I don't want to skimp and offer. You can offer 2%. You can offer $500 and authorize me. I'm going to argue till the cows come home on that because there's no incentive for an agent to bring a buyer to your house if we're not going to pay them, or technically you're not allowed. If you don't allow me to share my commission. So I have a lot of people ask, "Hey, would you do it for 5%?" And my answer is no. I want to incentivize people to bring. I want to take 3%. That's what I cover all the cost of the marketing, the photography, the time and energy. And guess what? I don't get paid if your house doesn't sell. So I work on a contingency. So my company will keep 3%. And I get a portion of that. I have to split that with my broker. And Nikki, I know we're looking at let's call this is $1 million house. So it's just a real easy number, right? So you're looking at $60,000 in commission, and I get 30,000 to my company. Well, my broker takes a piece of it because I have to work for a broker, and you pay taxes, right?
Yes.
Does Uncle Sam take 30% of your paycheck every week?
No.
Yeah, whatever the amount is, right? Uncle Sam takes 30% of mine.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that breaks down. And then we offer the other 3% out to incentivize agents to bring you a good offer. So could we do it for less? Yeah, but you kind of boom, shoot yourself in the foot. We're not incentivizing people. And in this market, we need to incentivize people.
Okay.
And I know you can find an agent that would probably do it for less. However, how much of your equity are they going to give up when it comes to negotiating? You want somebody that has fiduciary duties to you. And I don't like to negotiate my fee. And I take that into, I don't like to negotiate your price unless it's absolutely necessary. Are you okay with 6%?
Yes, because you explained it well.
Okay, thank you. Lori, I know that was a lot. I just kind of roll with it when we're role playing, and you guys are like, oh my gosh, what is he talking about? And that you've got to role play with your peers.
Well,
Otherwise,
can I
you're just
comment to
practicing on your
that?
opponents. Please.
Yeah, so what I want the agents to understand is, he was ready for it. He had practiced there. That script practicing is so important and so crucial for your listing presentations so that you go in there confident. And I think that really showed in the way that Mike responded. He knew what to say before I even asked him. I didn't have to ask the question for him to know the answer. He's already practiced and he's gone through that. And so just a little plug for showing up for script practice, because those are the kinds of things we want to go through. So
I
thanks
can't.
for doing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And that's the toughest objection. That's the one you need to get some practice on and be able to. And listen, if you're not going to role play, you're practicing when you go out. Don't do what I did. Because when I first did, I was great. I was the best at a CMA. And I could go out and I barely pre-qualified people, and I would sit there and they would ask me these questions or objections, and I just wasn't prepared for them, and I took very few listings. Okay. It wasn't until I got comfortable with the presentation and I learned these objection handlers, which I now call questions. Will you do it for less? Will you just do it for a 60-day listing instead of 6 months?
What do you say to that?
Oh, no, I won't. Now I'm willing to work on the 6 months because I'm very confident that we're going to get your house sold within the first 2 weeks, Nikki. And mostly because I know you'll get more money in the first 30 days than you will anytime thereafter. So if we get a bunch of people coming through the house and we're not getting offers on it, guess what? I'm prepared and I commit to you. I will have the tough conversation and call you and say, we need to look at a price reduction. Because time on the market is your enemy. However, deals fail, right? Sometimes we can be under contract for no fault of yours or mine or anybody. It's just deals can fail. So my minimum is 120 days, and I'm speaking to everybody in the class. Most people don't, if they really push it. So let's do this, Nikki. Let's sign it for 6 months, but I kind of have an unwritten guarantee, and I would put it in writing for you that if any time you're not happy with the service I'm providing, I want you to pick up the phone and give me a call. Then I ask that you give me 24 hours to rectify it. If I can't rectify it, we'll dissolve the listing agreement and go our separate ways. Fair enough?
Yes.
There you go. I've offered that out to people before, and I can't remember any time we've had to do that. So pricing, commissions and pricing, where I just feel that the house is not worth what they want. Guys, that's just a skill set you'll get. People ask me all the time, if I really felt that the house was going to sell for 800, and Nikki, maybe role play this. Mike, I really want to start at 900.
Mike, I would really prefer to start at 900. I just need that much money because I found a home in Arkansas that I really want. And that 50,000 is really going to affect my ability to get it.
Oh, I completely understand, Nikki. And okay, let's talk about that. Let's do this. I will typically know when I put a house on the market, I'm going to know within 7, maybe 10 days at the max if we're going to get your price. Okay. And it's not me just knowing it, it's based off our activity. Lots of showings, no offers, 3 to 5% too high, right? Again, lots of showings in the first week, 7 to 8 showings, showing a day for a week, and we get no offers, 3 to 5% too high. No showings, no offers, then I apologize. I missed the boat on pricing your house and I was way off. Let's put it on at 885. But if we don't have an offer in 7 to 10 days, I want you to get that price down. I don't want you on the market at 25 days getting stigmatized with people asking, why hasn't it sold?
Okay.
All right. Good. And I would probably even do the, 900. Again, if it's within reason, and that 850 to 9 to me is within reason. But I'm telling them, I'm setting them up for it. And I might even have them sign a price reduction 10 days out. Usually you don't have to, but I want to have that conversation that the market will tell us where we need to be very quickly.
Yep.
It doesn't take 3 weeks when you're on the market. And ask yourselves this, guys, if you're looking on the MLS in a house that's been on the market 30 days and there's been no price change, what do you think? Doesn't mean it's a bad house. It's probably just overpriced.
Overpriced, yeah.
Just overpriced. So people realizing, the other one too, when it comes to pricing and talking about pricing, when I say 7 to 10 days, they might say, well, Mike, I want to give it at least 60 days. That one, or they'll come up with, well, I know we've had a lot of activity. The right buyer hasn't shown up yet. And I will agree with them. And I say, correct, the right buyer hasn't shown up, but go up, they're going to see the time on the market and that you're overpriced, and they're not going to, they're either going to go to another house or make you an extremely low ball offer. Time for sellers is a killer, guys. Just remember that. Don't be afraid to tell them, because they know it. They know it. If you see somebody that's doing an open house on a week, 5 weeks in a row at the same price, there's probably nothing wrong with the house. It's just overpriced. So the objections that we get, they vary a little bit, and I just can't stress enough. And I'll say to you guys in every class I've done, I would love for somebody to call me and ask to role play the listing presentation. I've been teaching this class for a long time, and barely anybody ever calls. But the ones that get, if this presentation that I went through, which you'll get a PDF of from Terry and Lori, doesn't work for you, you don't feel comfortable with it, find one that does. Okay. Be careful of making your own, get some guidance, right? Because I had the idea when I got my license, I can get along with people great. I can get along with anybody. And I stunk when it came to taking listings. I was not good at closing. I was hemming and hawing and talking about all sorts of stuff I didn't need to talk about. I was all over the place. But when I got this Mike Ferry listing presentation, it changed the dynamic of my business. I'm asking a series of questions, being efficient, being professional, and listening to them. Okay. So that is, again, tough class. I apologize if it didn't come through the best. It's hard to do when we're on Zoom, but I hope I've planted a seed with sellers. Pre-qualify, 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 just like you do with buyers. Ask them questions, find out what they're doing. Then you can decide on the 1-step or 2-step. And then make sure that you get a listing presentation that you're comfortable. If you like a computer and you want to run it through on slides on there, that is fine. Be efficient. I don't like to talk about myself unless they ask, what is my marketing plan? They usually ask me that after the listing is signed, if you use this presentation. So I know we're probably approaching an hour here, guys. I appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions?
No, Mike, you did a good job. When I went to family reunion in February, I went to a listing class, and that's the thing they said is, everyone worries about pre-qualifying buyers, but as an agent, you need to pre-qualify sellers. And that's exactly what you said. Ask those questions. And when you get those objections, again, they're questions so that you can prepare for those with answers. And so I think we all, in all aspects of our life, we don't like rejection or objections. And so we kind of shrivel up a little bit. But yeah, if we see them as just questions, then we can kind of move forward.
Yeah, they are. Thanks, Marcel. That is, and look at it that way. Objection handling is what I studied for years. And again, it's just questions, you know, these you'll be meeting with some sellers and they've never sold a home before, but their mom and dad told them that you make sure you ask that real estate agent to take some money off. That's the only thing you got to do. You just ask. Make sure you ask. You don't know if they'll do it for less if you don't ask. And I've had people just kind of like, well, yeah, my dad told me I'm supposed to ask for a discount. And I'm like, no, but here's why. Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. So, you know, they can ask. And do I work with folks on my commission? Yes, I do. I do. Repeat and referral clients, yeah. But be careful giving away the farm, guys, you know, because you can spend a lot of time and you got money when it comes to listings. Buyers, you don't really spend any money other than gas in your tank. But listings, you got to be able to handle photography and do all, unless you negotiate for them to pay for it, which I guess you could do. I don't. I just, you know, I take it upon myself to cover the cost of the marketing. And that's why I want to make sure I've got a good, the only two issues in selling real estate today, your motivation to sell this home and the price we set on the home.
Okay.
Everything else is secondary. So any other questions?
No, good job.
All right.
Thank you.
I wish you all best of luck for those of you in South Valley, or anybody, even if you're not at South Valley. I look forward to continuing to get to know you. And as your broker, you're welcome to please reach out to me. Come by, say hello, let me know how I can help you. And good job. Stay plugged into the Ignite and the productivity coaching program. Go through the learning process, study your scripts. Don't worry about sounding scripted. You won't. You'll internalize it. You memorize it and internalize it, then you get the right to change it. And it will accelerate your success in this business just by doing it. So, okay.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good
See ya.
night.
Have a good night. See ya.
Bye.